All right, so we're going to get into our final video here, which is nutrition for anti-aging. You guys will notice that a lot of the slides in here and a lot of the concepts are things that we have already discussed probably more than once through the course of our program here. But a lot of these are topics that we just want to reiterate on, things that are important to remember long term. Obviously, we're always more likely to remember things if we hear them more than once. And this is just going to give us some prevention strategies on how to avoid certain conditions, especially if you know your family is, more prone to certain things. Like my family is very prone to heart conditions, even when we're at a normal body weight, and when we're exercising and all these things. We just have, we'll say, I hate the word bad genetics, but we have bad genetics for heart health. So there's a lot of these strategies that I'm like, okay, I always want to make sure that I have my vitamin D and my CoQ10 and my resveratrol because like I just know that my family's predisposed to those things. So hopefully this will give you guys some strategies on, okay, I know that my parents and my grandparents have these conditions. Then I know I want to have, these strategies with my supplements and nutrition moving forward on how to avoid some of these problems hopefully in the future. Because starting now is key for anti-aging nutrition. I have a lot of people that come to me in their 60s and they're looking at their parents that are in their 80s and they're going, oh my gosh, like I don't want that to happen to me. I need to make some changes now. But the reality is it's a lot harder for your body to make changes and adaptations in your 60s. It's a lot easier in your younger years. So like the earlier you can start, the better. And it's not that starting in your 60s is useless by any means. I mean, your stomach regenerates every 10 days, so if you start making changes in your diet, you can definitely make changes in your physiology, very quickly. But if you're trying to influence something like muscle mass, for example, your muscle mass tends to slowly decrease every decade after 30. So you really want your muscle mass to be optimized earlier because trying to build muscle later years is going to require a whole heck of a lot more effort because your hormones are just not going to be primed to do it in those decades. So, like I said, not that it's impossible, but if you want to make your life easier, working on prevention in the earlier decades is definitely going to have a compounding effect later on. So, what do you want your older years to look like? So I took some photos on here. The ones across the top are of my grandparents because they've always been my example to live by to order to be happy and healthy when they get older. Like they travel, they golf, they bike, they hike, they go to Arizona every winter and they're in golf leagues and cross country bike leagues. I mean, I think my grandpa could probably still beat me in tennis to this day, even with like hip replacements and knee replacements and everything else. Um, and they just have been able to really take full advantage of their life together into their older years, and that's something that I know I want to do. And the one thing I've always looked at with them is they've always been active. Like they haven't had necessarily on point nutrition or anything. I think my grandpa probably lives off of coffee and eggs and not a whole lot else. But the being active and being very involved in family, I think, are things that have really propelled them into their later years in a very happy and healthy way. And that's something that I look at, and I want to be running around playing with my grandkids, being athletic, being able to go to the gym and not be stuck in a walker or 800 doctor's appointments. So if you want your 70s and 80s to look funner, you're going to want to consider some of the strategies that we're talking about today. So 12 ways to slow down aging. So a lot of these we've touched on before, right? Like we've touched on sugar control, healthy body composition, you know, sleep optimization, eating fiber, fitness, optimizing blood pressure and circulation. So again, we're going to be reiterating some of these topics, but hopefully you guys are going to learn something new, or at least be able to bring some of the concepts we've discussed together in a way that makes sense. All right. So my number one, like I said, is fitness and body composition. Muscle is the organ of longevity. So the more muscle mass you have, the more your joints are protected as you age. Muscle helps pump the blood through the body, helps pump things through our organs, helps get our digestion moving. So muscles are really the key to any type of movement in the body, whether you're talking about organ or just skeletal movement. And the better that we have that optimized the younger years, the better, because we're going to be gradually degenerating that tissue as we age, and it's going to be harder to build as we age. But if you think about a lot of things that kind of kick it for the older generations is if they fall and get a hip injury or if they get a fracture, a lot of times they will soon get an infection or they will become bedbound and stop moving, and then that like lack of movement ends up literally killing them because um, they will get lack of appetite, they get nutritionally deficient, their muscles will deteriorate a lot faster because they're bedbound, and just like these seemingly not a big deal injuries can literally be life threatening in our older decades. So we really want to make sure that our muscle is optimized around our bone to prevent some of these injuries from happening. Muscle also helps to optimize bone density. There is a law, physics is called Wolff's Law, that says that if a bone is put under pressure, it's more likely to build. If you are doing muscle generating activities like lifting, it actually is going to build bone density more efficiently. Bone density requires a lot of nutrients like collagen, protein, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin D, vitamin K, estrogen, a lot of these things. But I have a lot of patients that will be taking every single supplement and not be influencing their bone density in a positive way until they start exercising. And then lastly, it also optimizes testosterone. All hormones are harder to balance as we age because hormones gradually decrease, but test boosting supplements are super awesome as we get older because they help to maintain muscle density. I always think that testosterone boosting supplements are like they increase your vitality. They just make you feel like your get up and go is more potent. Like I've taken them a number of times, especially when super stressed out or overtraining or getting ready for bodybuilding competitions or something. And, it's almost like you just get your fire lit. Like you just pop right up out of bed in the morning. You just have so much more vim and vigor and you're just like ready to, take on more athletic activity. So it's a really an awesome thing. Like we joke that one of our most sold supplements in our supplement store is called Lurong, which is deer antler extract. And deer antler is a testosterone booster. And, we have a lot of, older generation patients that are just really addicted to the deer antler. And, it's in a lot of pre-workout supplements too, because it's just such a potent testosterone booster and it helps to balance the joints because it helps with, the muscle support. So those are always a good area of supplementation to get into. So with fitness and body composition, I think fitness is the number one anti-aging drug out there. Most people, when they lose weight and they get a healthier body composition and more muscle mass, they look younger um, perceptually. So you can spend a bunch of money on Botox and collagen injections and like all these things, but the reality is you will look younger the more muscle mass that you have. So these are just some examples from 1st Phorm, which is the main app that we recommend for calorie tracking. So this is, examples of people that followed the recommendations from that app to a T and some of the transformations that they met. But, overall for fitness for longevity, we want our waist measurement. So that's going to be kind of around your belly button, like at the narrowest part of your waist should be less than 33 in females and less than 36 in males. And it should always be smaller than your hips. If your hips are smaller than your waist, then it is not a good thing for your heart. So I wanted to throw a slide in on 75 hard here just because this is our final lecture. So I figured I'd throw in at least one advanced strategy here. So what 75 hard is a 75-day challenge where you do 2 45-minute workouts a day. One of them has to be outside. You pick a diet and you follow it strictly. for those 75 days, no alcohol or cheat meals, drink a gallon of water a day, read 10 pages of some kind of personal development a day, and take a photo of yourself every day. Uh, the thing I love about this program is it really teaches people the value of time, because a lot of times you'll wonder, oh, why am I not seeing any progress? I've been dieting Monday through Friday, and then I goof off on the weekend, and then I wonder why I'm not getting anywhere. It's because you're just reverting on the weekends all the effort that you put in Monday through Friday. So if you really want to propel yourself forward and you really want to have like a huge transformation, like some of the photos in the previous slide or in this slide, if you follow something for 75 days straight with no cheats, you are going to be seriously amazed at the results. Like, I think I liked my body transformation better when I did 75 hard than when I did my bodybuilding competition. Um, so this is a good advanced strategy. Like I said, if you feel like you're ready to take on something more challenging or really get a huge transformation, like in the previous photos, there's really great podcasts on this. There's a website, there's books, it's a really popular program these days, so you can get more resources if you're interested. But yeah, so along the lines of building your body athletically and muscle wise, a lot of these sports nutrition products are equally beneficial for anti-aging because they optimize muscle mass. So creatine, amino acid powders, and protein powders are three amazing categories for muscle maintenance. I have a lot of like my grandma's, especially on the level 1 protein from First Form. They generally like the blueberry muffin flavor for whatever reason. I think it's because when you mix it with milk and pour it on cereal, it tastes amazing. But every single person that I put on the level 1 protein from First Form is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much better I feel. I just feel like I have more energy. I feel like my muscles feel better. Like I have less aches and pains and less overall feelings of weakness just from adding, a 20-gram protein powder into their day. Because honestly, like your amino acids or your HCl, which is your enzyme required to break down protein, like drastically decreases as you age. So protein powders are almost like pre-digested for you, and a lot of them have enzymes already included in the product. So it can be a really easy to digest way to boost your protein. I know like my grandma had a hip surgery, and right now we have her on collagen protein, level 1 protein, and greens. And that's what she drinks now every morning for breakfast. And she doesn't have a huge appetite in the morning, as a lot of people in that age group don't, because of that lack of HCl. And just having that ability just to drink that smoothie has really been helpful for her joint wise and just being able to recover from surgery. So all these products are awesome. So protein powder is going to be the easiest because that's like a meal replacement. The aminos is similar to protein. It's just like already broken down protein. But the great thing about aminos is you can mix them with water and they're more like refreshing fruity flavors, which is great, especially when it's hot outside and you don't want to drink something milky. A lot of them are pre-mixed with electrolytes, so you can use them as a sports drink for during your athletics. Creatine you can add to pretty much anything because it's usually going to be unflavored, but creatine has amazing implications for building muscle, maintaining muscle, and actually optimizing brain health as we age. So creatine is another, again, stereotypical sport supplement that is amazing for anti-aging, just because muscle is so important as we get up there. So the overall theme of anti-aging, chemically speaking, is going to be slowing down cell division. So when you're born with, okay, let's say I have, 3,000 cell divisions and then I just straight up die. Like that's how many I have. That's kind of what determines our lifespan, if we will. The thing is these cell divisions can be fast or they can be slow, allowing us to live longer or shorter lives, right? So things that, speed up cell division is things like, alcohol, smoking, inflammatory lifestyle, working nights, just like things that are very stressful for your body, speed up the cell division. And, it kind of makes it happen faster so we don't live as long. Whereas, eating more of an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, taking the supplements that you should, and, having de-stressing activities is going to slow down that cell division so that we can live longer. So the absolute number one nutrient for slowing down cell division is going to be vitamin D, which this calendar you guys are going to laugh at if you live in Michigan. So each color on this map is associated with certain levels of like vitamin D that you can get from the sun. You can see the blank circles are you just straight up can't get enough vitamin D from the sun in those areas. So if you live in Michigan, like we do, you're just not going to get enough vitamin D from the sun. And that's why I tell a lot of people on their genetics test, okay, you might say that you have a low risk of vitamin D on your genetics test, but if you live in Michigan, you're still probably going to have to take it. Super important to keep your vitamin D between 80 and 100 on blood work. Anything under 20 is a huge cancer risk, and anything under 40 is a huge risk for autoimmunity development. So we really want to make sure that this nutrient is optimized. I mean, that's why it's in month 1 of this program. It's on your genetics test. A lot of you guys are going to be taking this long term, and I do think that it is very, very important because it's very hard to get enough of it where we live, at least. So along the lines with the slowing down the cell division part is going to be cellular differentiation. So the more differentiated your cells are, the better they're protected from cancer, as opposed to ones that are less differentiated are more at risk for cancer. That's why when you get an x-ray or something, you have to cover up your reproductive organs or like your eyes, because a lot of times those are not very well differentiated and they're more susceptible to developing cancer if they get exposed to toxins or things like x-rays, right? Because toxins or things like x-rays can speed up the cell division, and then there's more opportunity for errors and more opportunity for, cancer development and issues. So other supplements and nutrients that can help with slowing down the cell division is the vitamin D, like we said, melatonin, because it optimizes sleep, vitamin A, B12, B9, especially for people that have the MTHFR genetic variants on their genetics test, or getting enough protein. And a good way to measure this is there's a number you can get on blood work called homocysteine, and that's something that you can use to measure your risk for these problems. So another anti-aging technique is just balancing blood sugar. I think we've probably hit this ad nauseum at this point. All of the diets that you guys have been working on the last 5 months have been in order to try to balance blood sugar. But just to give you guys a couple numbers to look at on blood work, you're going to want your glucose between 80 and 100. You can track that on your own. Like I did an experiment where I just went and bought, one of the finger pricks from the pharmacy and just, checked intermittently for a couple of weeks just to kind of see where my blood sugar was at. Because when you do it on blood work, that's just one day. It's not telling you how your body reacts over the course of time. So if you get one at home, then you can check yourself on a daily or weekly basis. There's another number called HA1C that you'll see on blood work. HA1C is a measure of your blood sugar over the course of about 3 months. So it does take about 3 months to change it when you do start eating better, but we do want that number to be below 5.8, absolutely. Kind of the lower in the 5s that you get, the better, because if you're in the upper 5s to lower 6s, then you are in a prediabetes state. But anything over 10 literally just caramelizes your organs. It can lead to severe brain damage, dementia, Alzheimer's, those types of things. And the best strategy to keep blood sugar at bay is to aim for the less than 25 grams of added sugar, like it says in your guys' binders. All right, now we have blood pressure and cholesterol, which are, the much debated topics. So the connection between blood pressure and cholesterol as follows. So when you have elevated blood pressure, from what I would like to call it sludgy blood, it's going to be our very medical term for it. Sludgy blood requires a lot of power from the heart, a lot of huge contraction in order to push the blood through the system. And a lot of times those aggressive contractions and then like the speed of the blood going through curvy parts of your arteries can actually damage the curves, kind of like in this photo. And then your body builds up these yellow areas, these plaques, in order to protect you from, that constant hammering on those curvy parts of your arteries. Um, and then those plaques are what can potentially break off and cause strokes. So obviously this is a mechanism that we want to refrain from developing, and really the key is balancing the blood pressure more so than balancing cholesterol, because the blood pressure a lot of times is what's producing the damage in the first place. So we need to have less sludgy blood. So the mechanisms for having less sludgy blood is to stay hydrated, make sure you're drinking your water every day, stay on top of your electrolytes, especially potassium, um, the nitric oxide supplements, which we've talked about in our circulation seminar, and then optimizing visceral fat, like we've already discussed. So nutrients that can help with lowering cholesterol. So most of the things that help lower cholesterol is going to be plant fibers. So, any fruit, vegetable, potato, grain, nuts, seed, bean, any type of fiber is going to help decrease cholesterol because it helps to bind it in the gut and actually helps us poop it out. There are other components from plants called plant sterols that can also help with detoxing the cholesterol. There are some supplements that have the plant sterols kind of something that they would take out of a fruit or vegetable and then put it in supplement form so that you can take it. So any supplement that says lipid on it or cholesterol control on it, a lot of times can be based on plant sterols. Red yeast rice is probably going to be the most potent as far as like before and afters that I've seen on cholesterol reduction. A lot of cholesterol reduction happens during the liver detox phase of this program, just because the liver detox phase is so heavy on all of the B vitamins, but especially B3 is potent for balancing cholesterol. Fish oil helps to optimize our healthy cholesterol, that HDL. Vitamin C is super awesome for the artery linings. It actually really helps with retaining the tonicity of our artery linings. Berberine is helpful for balancing blood sugar. So any blood sugar induced cholesterol or blood pressure issues, berberine can help balance that out, because berberine is almost like the supplement version of metformin. Artichoke leaf is also a great one for balancing cholesterol. It's going to be high in those plant sterols, like we said. Same thing with citrus bergamot. And then CoQ10 is awesome for any heart pain, or if you're taking a statin, you should definitely take CoQ10 to help balance it out. CoQ10 is equivalent to energy for the heart. So it's like anytime the heart is struggling to get enough energy, CoQ10 definitely helps. So if you have had a heart condition in the past, or you have a family history of heart conditions, definitely considering keeping this in your cupboard. It's something that I've had around a lot, especially through like pregnancy and postpartum, because I struggled with some heart complications during delivery. And I can tell you, I noticed the days that I don't take my CoQ10, because I straight up get pain in the left side of my chest on the days that I don't take it. So it definitely has a immediate impact on just your perception on like how your heart actually feels. So if you're actually feeling like your heart is struggling energetically, CoQ10 is a great one to have around. And CoQ10 actually does help with, your blood work components of cholesterol management as well. So along the same lines as like the vitamin D, but the number one way to slow cell division is to decrease inflammation, just like all of the diets we've talked about so far with the anti-inflammatory diets versus the standard American diet of, processed food and seed oils that increase our inflammation response. All right, so another fun word that we hear all the time is antioxidants. So what is an antioxidant anyways? So when your body breaks down certain things, it gets oxidized. And kind of like an example of this is if you're like eating an apple and then the apple turns brown, that's like an example of like oxidation, where the apple art starts changing colors after it's been exposed to the air. And there's processes like this in our body that happen. So antioxidants would like keep the apple white instead of allowing it to turn brown, if you want to think of it that way. So these, green antioxidant bubbles can bind the red oxidants and prevent them from causing our cells to like quote unquote rust, if you want to think of it like that. So our antioxidant nutrients is going to be anything dark, colorful fruits or vegetables. The top ones are going to be goji berries, any type of dark berry, artichokes, elderberry, kidney beans, cilantro, dark chocolate, cranberries, and pecans. But as you can see in the photograph, each color of food has different effects that it has on our body, right? So a lot of our like orange and yellow foods are going to be high in vitamin A and help with like our skin and our hormones and our thyroid. Whereas, a lot of things like onions and garlic help with the immune system. A lot of like the super green foods help with detox. A lot of red foods help with heart health, right? So you can see how, different colors of nutrients can really help to optimize different body systems. And that's why it's important to try to aim for food variety as much as possible. So this is just the top 30 of antioxidant rich foods and supplements. As you can see on the supplement side, we have like vitamin C, curcumin, zinc, B vitamins, selenium, dandelion root. Curcumin is turmeric, right? So we have a lot of those types of products like in our supplement store. It's something you guys took again, month 1 of the program. A lot of you are on vitamin C based on your genetics, those types of things. Dandelion root is a good one if you have water retention and you actually need to flush fluid. But I would be careful taking that on a day-to-day basis because it can make you a little dehydrated. But another good one is green tea, which I don't actually see in this photo, but green tea is also like a really powerful, well, it just says tea in the photo, I guess, but green tea especially is a powerful antioxidant and detox nutrient. So we've stated a few of these, but there are certain processes that slow as we age. So our immune system slows down, our detox pathways, our memory, our muscle mass, and our sleep quality. And then we'll say digestive enzymes should be added to this, are going to be the top things that slow down as we age. I actually like didn't put a slide in here on digestive enzymes, but seriously, as you age, if you have lack of appetite and indigestion, HCl or like any type of multi-enzyme can be very potent for helping to absorb protein, boost your appetite, decrease acid reflux. Even a lot of times when you think that you're having heart pain, it's actually reflux, and it can be aided by taking digestive enzymes. But again, that's something, we took month 1 of the program. A lot of you are on it permanently just because of your genetics, but HCl and digestive enzyme production does decrease as we age. So yeah, like I said, nutrients that decrease as we age, the enzymes, the HCl, melatonin for sleep, CoQ10 for heart health, glucosamine and collagen for joint health, which we're going to get into next, and then acetylcholine for the brain. So usually in our 40s is when joint degeneration starts to really take its toll. And this is kind of like irregardless of movement, because a lot of people will be like, oh, it must be because of athletics or it must be because of this. It's not 100% true. It can be true if you're overtraining and causing a lot of inflammation in the joint, but really on the whole, athletics is actually protective of your joints. Like I said, unless you're overtraining. So most of the time, athletics is actually going to help maintain fluid in the joint and maintain this healthy blue bubble like we see on the left. When things get dehydrated and lack of fluid and lack of movement is actually when we get a lot of the conditions that are on here on the right side, where it just gets super red and inflamed and irritated. Obviously you can have point in time injuries, like if you twist your knee skiing or something that can cause, more severe damage, but general athletics does keep you more in the blue here. But in our 40s, our cartilage naturally decreases, which causes arthritis to flare up. And then our ability to repair from athletics and our ability to repair from injury slows down because our cartilage amounts are low. This is why so many people are addicted to collagen these days, is because collagen is almost like giving you what you used to have in order to repair your joints. So collagen is a super potent product now for joint health. I mean, it's definitely our top 10 supplements sold in the supplement store right now. And I know it's because you notice such a big difference with your joints when you take it. Glucosamine and chondroitin is another popular supplement that, again, can help replenish joint health and something that you can get deficient in as you age. Always hit your protein, like we've said every single lecture. Omegas in fish oil can also help with joint lubrication, and then anti-inflammatory diet and supplements like we've already discussed. Prostate problems are another one that tends to flare up in the 40s. Most of this is going to be due to blood sugar dysregulation. So, as usual, balancing the blood sugar definitely helps. Avoiding the standard American diet, eating a more anti-inflammatory diet, optimizing our liver function are all things that are going to help with detoxing the dihydroxytestosterone that causes the prostate to enlarge and flare up. So a couple nutrients that can help with that is stinging nettle and palmetto. Honestly, I haven't had a ton of luck with either of those two nutrients because I really do think that prostate problems are mostly lifestyle driven. And you taking those two supplements is like a tiny band-aid, but it doesn't tend to make a huge difference. You really need to focus on eating anti-inflammatory diet and balancing the sugar if you want to, keep prostate problems at bay. Prostate refers pain directly to the sacrum area. So if you're having a lot of sacral pain that is not being fixed by chiropractic care, massage, or physical therapy, then definitely get your PSA or your prostate checked. The late 40s is when all those heart things tend to really come to fruition. So again, making sure that we have our CoQ10 covered if we're predisposed to a lot of these heart conditions. Other things that can help are hawthorn, flavonoids, and quercetin. Flavonoids and quercetin are like kind of things that are supposed to come with vitamin C. So a lot of times if you take vitamin C, it'll say with quercetin or with flavonoids. Like our vitamin C that I produce is called vitamin ZCQ because it has zinc, quercetin, and vitamin C in it. So it has, you covered on the flavonoid portion and the vitamin C portion, which is going to help with artery health for sure. So in the 50s is when the immune system and the memory decline starts to slow down. That's why, like, most people, when they're diagnosed with cancer, it's going to be like late 50s, early 60s, because that's when the thymus gland starts to get dumb. Which sounds terrible, but it literally is like the thymus gland gets exhausted as we age, it gets stupider, and then it starts to make mistakes. And those mistakes end up being cancer. So if we want our thymus gland to be a little bit happier and make less mistakes, the nutrients that we have on here with multi-mushroom, vitamin C, D, vitamin E, zinc, milk thistle, those are all things that help to balance the thymus as we age. Again, we've talked about most of these already. When it comes to memory decline, things that help fortify the brain, we're gonna have a whole. I mean, we had a whole brain lecture, obviously, but choline from steak and eggs is going to be like the #1 nutrient for the brain and for memory formation, liver detox, just overall being sharper. I give it to a lot of people to study for exams, for example, is to take choline so that you can have better memory formations. Beef liver supplements, wheat germ oil, and cod liver oil are all really great things for fortifying the brain, nutritionally speaking. But you have a 1 out of 3 risk of developing Alzheimer's and dementia when you're eating the standard American diet. So hopefully, either the Mediterranean diet or the keto diet or the paleo diet is something that you've been sticking to, because those are going to be things that can decrease your risk of developing some of these conditions. Exercise is actually the #1 prevention strategy for preventing brain plaques. Just because, like I said, movement of our muscles feeds our organs, it feeds our brain. As a subset of an example for this, like I have an infant right now. How babies develop their brain and how they become smarter is literally through movement of their limbs. And it's kind of like as they physically are able to do more, as far as like walking, crawling, standing, rolling, the more that they accumulate, the more they can speak, the more they can form words, the better they are at communicating, just like the smarter they are. And that's because movement of our body does drive the health of our brain in a very, very big way. Um, you can also try learning new things as you age, like use your brain, because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And a lot of us, get to retirement and then we're like, okay, we're good. We don't have to do anything. Now we're just going to chill and, relax in the lazy boy and watch Fox News. Not a good strategy for anti-aging. Like try to like learn a new sport, learn a new game, go to a college class, like try to get into something you're interested in. I don't care if you're trying to learn about ancient Roman culture, or if you're trying to learn sports, or if you're trying to, get a new skill. Creatively speaking, just like try to learn something new helps to stimulate your brain and prevents it from degrading. And then a couple random side notes, a lot of allergy medication and proton pump inhibitors can actually decrease nitric oxide, decrease blood flow, and make us more prone to having circulatory issues and lack of blood flow to the brain. So kind of checking yourself on how much you're using allergy medications and PPIs is a good anti-aging strategy, because those are things that are meant to be used, temporarily for pain, or not pain relief, but symptom relief. And if we're taking them every day chronically forever, they do put us at a higher risk for a lot of heart and brain conditions. All right, so like I said, in our 50s and 60s, our risk for cancer goes up. So, what are some anti-cancer nutrients and anti-cancer activities? Uh, Alcohol and smoking are still like the number one and number two causes of cancer. So, checking yourself on the alcohol and smoking. Like 77% of cancer has been linked to either nutrition, alcohol, or smoking. So 77% of cancer is caused by what you put in your mouth. So taking a step back and evaluating what you're putting in your mouth is a good solution for preventing 77% of cancers. Obviously what this is saying is, there's like 23% that are due to, outside factors. Maybe it's due to being in a toxic work environment, or maybe it's due to genetics, or maybe it's due to having like a weird infection or something that puts you at risk for cancer. But 77% is going to be what you put in your mouth. So when you are determining what to put in your mouth, make sure that you are eating very low sugar. Cancer feeds on sugar. Cancer actually has 4 times the receptors for sugar as every other cell in the body. And sugar actually blocks the entry of vitamin C. So if you have a sugar saturated cell, it's not going to absorb vitamin C very well. So, a huge thing for anybody like battling cancer or predisposed to cancer is to really be strict about the sugar in your diet. Vitamin D, which we talked about, resveratrol is an awesome anti-inflammatory. That's the anti-inflammatory that is from red grapes. And then, making sure that you're hitting 20 to 25 grams of fiber a day. Okay, so sleep. Melatonin decreases as we age, as I've said. So we become more and more sensitive to our sleep environment as we age. Make sure that your room is super dark, because the one thing that will inhibit melatonin from being released is seeing sunlight or seeing bright lights, and that can be blue lights in your room. Make sure you have your magnesium covered, especially if you don't react well to melatonin. A lot of people, melatonin actually gives them nightmares or triggers them to like not feel as well, or they get hungover. I created the supplement called Lights Out Sleep Support. So Lights Out is a magnesium-based sleep support that is melatonin-free. I made it for myself because I don't do very well with melatonin. I get wicked nightmares and I get the hangover. So if I take a magnesium-based sleep support like the Lights Out, I do a lot better. But I've had innumerable people that come in and say, oh, when I take the Lights Out, it makes me sleep like an extra hour. Or some people, it makes them sleep like an extra 5 hours. Or some people, 2 tablets is too much. They have to go down to 1 tablet because it makes them sleep too much. So, Lights Out is a very potent sleep support to help you get those extra hours, because getting the 6 hours of sleep is still, one of the most potent things for our immune system and stress response. Even as we age, being able to get into that 6 to 8 hour sleep zone is very important. All right, so we can't talk about anti-aging without talking about the blue zones. So if you guys are unfamiliar, the blue zones is communities that have the highest concentration of people that live to over 100. So these are the lifestyle habits that are consistent in those cultures. So most of those cultures, they get a lot of steps per day, right? So like it's not necessarily that they go to the gym, they're just naturally active. They all have a purpose in life. They are, you know, entrenched in the community. They are involved with family. They're really big on their social aspect, which is extremely important as we age because a lot of people get older, they get isolated, or they get put in living in these homes where they're by themselves, or maybe they're injured, so they're not getting out as much or being social or getting all those types of activities, and it makes you age faster. So you really do want to make sure that you're getting out, getting with people, and that you'd have a purpose even after you retire. Um, Other things that they notice in these cultures is they tend to not overeat. They eat a lot of different plant foods. They tend to enjoy wine occasionally, but not in excess. And just I have one more slide for you meat lovers here. Uh, there are cultures that have really long life expectancies that are meat based. So Hong Kong has the highest life expectancy out of any country, and they also have the highest consumption of meat and dairy in the whole world. So you can still have a meat based diet and live a long, happy life. It's just that these blue zone cultures that are living over to have the over 100-year-olds tend to be um, eat a lot of different plants. So that is our story on anti-aging nutrition. So I really hope that that was able to, bring together a lot of the concepts and the reason that we've worked on a lot of these different aspects of our body the last 6 months is really to come together and, prevent disease and be as healthy as we can into our older years so that we can, do our sports, be involved with family, have fun, be social, go out and travel and just enjoy all the things that we're meant to enjoy into our older years. So it's been a lot of fun teaching you guys, and I really hope that this gives you some amazing strategies for longevity and it has really helped give you guys a higher quality of life right now and moving forward.